we're standing here in front of a setup. So let's talk a little bit about tools, because clearly you've got some tools and you've got a nice little setup here. Before we get into any really detailed discussions around how you're set up and everything here, I got to ask this to everyone. What is one tool you feel like you can live without?
I'll put it this way. There's a couple of tools that have come out in recent years that now I feel like I can't live without. One of them is definitely a multi-tool. So we just use this for like everything, every single day. And the thing that made me finally bite the bullet for like $150 or whatever was I was doing a job where I was changing all the doors in the house and the casing, but they weren't changing the baseboard. I swapped out the doors, put in the new casing, and of course the new casing is wider than the old stuff. So I'm sitting there with a Japanese pull saw, cutting the baseboards on the wall in place without having to take them off. So I'm like, get a multi-tool, man. Like, yeah. So that's a huge one, and then another one is a track saw. Now that they've got those, it's a game changer.
We've actually had track saw as a response.
Is that right? Yeah.
So that's the track saw. It sounds like is a very popular piece of equipment. Which brand track saw do you have?
I have a Makita as well.
Okay.
I'm kind of a Makita guy. Da-da-da.
Yeah. So if anyone's interested, the Makita. This is the second time that specifically the Makita has been recommended for the track saw. And so if you were going to give a piece of advice on this, when I was on the tools, it was pre track saw.
Yes.
Craze. It was like Festool had the track saw, and that was kind of, I think there was a couple of other high end brands, but it was Festool, right? And they were silly expensive. If you were to recommend a track saw to someone, what would be your sort of commentary specifically on like a Festool versus like there's Makita, there's DeWalt, like there's a couple other more cost-effective brands?
This is the one that I have the most experience with. Price point, I almost bought a Festool, but I was already on the Makita platform with the batteries and that, so that's what kind of drove me to make that decision. So yeah, I think dollar for dollar, this one performs great. But yeah, the Makita is great.
So generally, it's like the Makita gets the job done unless you're doing some super fine high-end work.
Yeah,
probably don't necessarily need to, unless you really love the Festool platform, which some people do.
And a lot of it is that too, right? Like, what platform are you on these days? It's like, what battery platform do you have going? And these days too, I just literally bought another impact and drill set, and they're basically giving away. I went to the new Atlas. I highly recommend you check it out. They were literally giving away the drills for the sake of the batteries. I think that I got the whole kit, 2 batteries, 2 drills for like $250.
So now let's jump over a little bit and just talk about your setup, because you've got a workspace set up here. Just walk the viewers through, like, what is each station for? What's your general workflow look like? How do you utilize the space?
So I kind of treat my setup when I can, when you have the luxury of room, which clearly here we have a lot of room, which has been very, very helpful. I try and treat it almost like a kitchen. You know how there's like sort of a formula for movement around the kitchen when you're cooking and stuff like that. The one thing for sure is the fewer physical steps you have to take on any job site. It sounds kind of mundane and like maybe not even relevant, but literally the fewer steps you have to take, it's better, because you're working way more efficiently if you're sort of set up in a general area. So I try and keep my miter saw, station. I'm a bit old school. I like the table. I drive a Jeep, so everything folds up nice and tight. I have the miter saw set up with the outfeed. I have a couple of outfeed rollers, old school as well. Table saw you have to have with you all the time, no matter what you do. Like, there's always even if you have a track saw, the table saw is still a necessary component.
If you're processing a piece of trim, so I see you've got it all nice and organized here.
Yeah.
You're grabbing the trim, and I assume you're cutting it to length as sort of the first step.
Yep.
And then you're doing whatever you need to do if you have to rip it, if you have to do something on the table saw.
Yep.
This guy here, I'm familiar with them. It's like a Cyclone or something, right?
Yep.
And the idea here is that any of the sort of like larger chunks will stay in here so that they don't utilize the bag, vacuum bag.
Yeah, correct.
That gives a lot more longevity on the bag. Right, so that's a really cool additional piece of equipment that
very helpful.
Upfront cost, but you'll save very quickly on the cost of the bags, because those bags are not cheap.
No, exactly. And that's easy to clean out too, the hopper. As far as dust mitigation goes, you can see clearly there's still dust on the floor and around, but I would say it captures at least 50-60% of the dust, especially the airborne stuff. If everything can be localized, like the chop saw, kind of like just everything falls right there. And especially we do still utilize a lot of MDF, and MDF dust is just it's like drywall dust, just everywhere.
Just gets in everything. Yeah. So you've processed your wood here, and then you bring it over to this table for any coping, any sanding, anything like that?
Yeah, we had a second table actually set up, which was instrumental when I was doing these arches, because I had two of them end to end, and these 3-point arches have two matching radii on each side, but that elliptical piece in the middle cobbled together at what's called a trammel. And I had my trammel point, these two tables were end to end, and I had trammel point literally 32 feet away to create that arc with my router. These tables are like crucial. It's some of my colleagues like calling it gentleman's height, so we like to sometimes work at gentleman's height.
Yeah.
And then we leave them here because the other trades enjoy using them too, right?
Yeah.
Like the electricians, whoever else is in the place. So
Awesome.
yeah.
This is incredible. I see you've got all your clamps set up there. As a former trim person, I can just say to anybody that's watching this that's an aspiring finish carpenter, take some notes on this. Like, this is a well set up little workshop, right? And for sure, if you have the space, I mean, we've all worked in spots where you just don't have the space and you do what you can do. But no, this is a fantastic setup.